on to Joanna Bomba. She's from Los Angeles, and she's going to talk to us about her work actually implementing these tools and trying to connect people to resources. She works for the United Way of Greater Los Angeles. She's a program associate working on a 5-year action plan to end chronic and veterans homelessness, which is a tough challenge. So we give her a lot of credit for being courageous enough to even attempt to do that. She's been working on this since 2011. She's led teams during the 2-phase pilot of the coordinated entry system. And in 2013, she helped to launch 7 additional communities across the county. Her current focus has shifted from refining the coordinated entry system for scale-up and sustainability while aligning public resources with private funds to support the work. Thank you.
Absolutely. I'm really loud and obnoxious, I'm told half the time, so I'm gonna just go for it and see if I don't need to use a microphone, and you guys can tell me if I'm being too loud, actually. Technology, man, it's always got us. Good. Well, afternoon. Actually, it's kind of still feeling like morning-ish for me. I'm LA. I did red eye 2 nights ago. I'm still a little behind, so please forgive me. So coordinating Los Angeles. I feel like we are all very much in the same boat as New York, so you know, that very small homeless population that we all face. The reason I love being up here with these ladies is because you hear little pieces of what Jessica's been doing really with PNCP, and you hear of what the decision to make an assistance tool looks like. And then I'm here to tell you what actually using those and putting those together has done since March of last year. So a year and some change we've been doing it in Los Angeles. So I'm kind of here to just go over that with you guys and tell you there's hope. It is actually possible to create a coordinated assessment and housing placement system. What we call it in Los Angeles is a CES system, coordinated entry system. Entry into housing. So if you hear me use CES instead throughout this presentation, that's kind of what I'm referring to. Linking together of the HEART Act coordinated assessment regulations as well as housing placement, because we knew we could do it. So I'm Joanna Bomba, again, as we've probably said a couple too many times, program associate with United Way of Greater Los Angeles. I also co-led the 2 teams in Skid Row. Skid Row is our most density of homeless population in Los Angeles. Last count, about 16,000 to 17,000 individuals are experiencing homelessness or have just come out of homelessness in that area. It's a 6 by 5 square blocks. So I mean, it is a tiny area for a very expansive portion of Los Angeles. All that to say, I understand that what has just happened is you've heard none of that because all you're hearing is the song playing in your head. And I'm okay with that. So I'll say it again. I am the program associate at United Way working on Home for Good. I co-led the 2 teams in Skid Row. It's all right. If you want to sing to me later, it's something I've just come to terms with for 26 years. So Home for Good is the initiative to end chronic and veteran homelessness in Los Angeles by 2016. It's an initiative of United Way in partnership with the LA Chamber of Commerce. And we have actually been really excited that as of very recently, we've had a lot of private funding and public resources that have been connected into something called the Funders Collaborative. The Funders Collaborative is one portion of what Home for Good does. Again, this is more if you guys know we talk about the 10-year plans. We don't have an attention span in Los Angeles. We're a 5-year plan. So what we're doing is taking 3 components really to focus on streamlining services and being able to reach those goals. One of the main areas I'm talking about is the Funders Collaborative. This is, again, I'll allude to later in my slides as well, but that's over $50 million dollars and resources, not inclusive of the VA, since they're a little hard to get reporting from this week. So besides them, we are actually over $50 million in public and private resources that are going strategically to CES starting July 1st of this year. And that's for the fiscal year to see what we can do in Los Angeles. We have a very large population like Charles. This is Charles, 34 years homeless, chronic, obviously. Wheelchair-bound, mental illness. When we started to do this work in Skid Row, it was surprising the number of people we found like that. I know we have sunny skies, I know we have temperate weather. That can cause people to stay on the streets for a very long time in a place where the shelter system is not inviting. So, as we saw many people like Charles on our streets, there was a cost-effectiveness study done to find out that we spend $875 million in public resources every year on homelessness, and it's 43% cheaper to get people like Charles into housing and free up those resources for other individuals who can need a little bit of assistance to self-resolve or not as much assistance. So I'm here to tell you, New York, you do not have to see the whole entire staircase to take the first step. We didn't. I know Baltimore is saying they haven't quite yet, and that's okay. You still have hope, you still can do it. And it's still possible to create a system in that environment. I know that we're kind of all feeling this right now. So I'm just going to paint for you what CES looked like, what Los Angeles looked like before CES. I was actually at the time working on Skid Row, kind of doing some process improvement in a small collaboration of service providers down there. When we were approached to work as a team to really do the point-in-time count, it pushed us to work with our frontline staff and say, well, what can we do now that we have these inventories done on this large number of people? What can we really do to streamline this? So Los Angeles is big, as you imagine. We were working in the Skid Row area. These are actually 8 of the U.S. capitals in our city limits. 40 of our 50 capitals inside of our Los Angeles County limits. Oops. And we have 39,500 individuals inside that area. That might be a number that sounds a little confusing to some people who were following what Los Angeles is doing. That's just because of the way we've been reporting to HUD. They asked us to really kind of take out a certain portion of our numbers that weren't exactly reliable. So this is the number that we've been moving forward with this year. We were known as the land of 1,000 pilots. It's true. Everyone was in silos. We had no idea how to collaborate. We couldn't communicate. We really couldn't get anything off the ground. And we had Project 50 here, Project 85 here, wanting to move people that we could identify. But when you have 39,500 individuals that you're working with, that 80, that 100 is just really not going to push you anywhere near ending homelessness. You're going to be alleviating it for a very, very long time. So Los Angeles realized we need to kind of get dynamic about this. We at Home for Good, the United Way, decided to work with Community Solutions, Jessica's team, as well as a group called RRI, which is, oh my gosh, Rapid Results. I was going to say Rapid Rehousing, that's not right. Rapid Results Institute, to be able to really bring together the top leaders in Los Angeles on homeless services. They have this really fabulous and dynamic thing called the Tennis Ball Challenge. The Tennis Ball Challenge is there to teach you teamwork, collaboration, keeping your eye on the ball, being able to do goal setting and knowing that once you reach your goal, you can do better. It really was something that Los Angeles needed. And so this was a show me method that they wanted to bring to the table so that Los Angeles could begin to move forward. And at the end of that day, they let us know that we were one of 2 places that they had been working that could not complete this challenge, just for the life of us. We had people sit down and just say, I'm not doing it. And it's really fun and innovative. The one other place that they had worked with that was not able to complete this challenge were the Sudanese post-conflict states. We were that level of bad. So this is what we were looking at still. And I know, Jessica, you're going to see this over and over again. It was chaos. Even our leaders weren't able to collaborate, to work together in the beginning. But we had some good news. Because of the realization that we were standing in the way of ending homelessness by not being able to collaborate, we were able to design this. This is the system that is now in place for ensuring the work is getting done in Los Angeles. Our top level are our SPA teams. SPA just means service planning area. Like I showed you, the county is really, really large, so we kind of have to break off. Definitely not as intense as in boroughs, but just being able to do supervisual sections. We then have a systems team in the middle, which really focuses on connecting with our PSH providers, connecting with developers, being able to tackle those level of regulations. Then we have a policy team that kind of works with the systems team to really be able to get ahead of national regulatory issues that are in the way, being able to change Los Angeles policy, being able to work with the mayor's office and supervisory staff. And then, as I mentioned, our Funders Collaborative, which is able to pour in the resources that our public funding does not cover with our private dollars, which is what we were hearing from our communities was really missing. And then our support team, like I mentioned, with Community Solutions and Rapid Results Institute. So it was as if we turned over a new leaf. And then we had some kind of a coordinated assessment system going on. We decided that we were going to assess, assist, and assign with choice. This is going to be able to work collaboratively and be able to talk to each other using PMCP platforms, testing PMCP platforms, and being able to really, across 4,000 square miles, talk about what we were doing, what was working, and where we still needed help. So these are the key components that we put together then for our coordinated entry system. We assess using the VI SPDAT, and I just want to piggyback on what Baltimore said. Initially, when we went and found the SPDAT and the family SPDAT, it wasn't the right fit for Los Angeles. We had to tweak it. We talked with the creators of the SPDAT to create the VI SPDAT, to customize it a bit for us. But as we do all live in very different places, you do have to use that customization, that what fits best for you. There's no cookie cutter answer. Assisting the collecting of documents for housing and linking to benefits and resources and services. This is something that we have coined the term housing navigation. That's that center where trying to connect the person from street to home the whole way and ensuring that there's that trust level that goes along with connection to resources that, as I'm talking about, people who've been on the streets for 34 years just didn't have the capacity to be able to do alone. And then assigning, matching to the best housing options for that client that are in our system. Again, as Jessica had been pointing out, I do our community matching or our county matching, and as simply as they pointed out, you enter in a unit number and you enter in the client that fits best. That's really how we do it on a daily basis. So I'm going to just give you some metrics on what we've done so far. We've gone through 3 phases. We have a 4th phase that's starting in July, and then we also are going to be going on to a dartboard phase that I'll get to in a second. But this is what we did in Skid Row. The first 100 days, we had 2 teams, one focused on outreach and really coordinating that side. We had one focused on housing and really coordinating that back end. They were able to assess and assist 134 individuals and then place 39, we entered 2 the day we were presenting out this information, into housing. That ran from March of 2013 to July of 2013. The reason that these numbers even seem a little low is because this was building of a system as well. These teams were not just given some cookie cutter way of doing things. It was think about it, work together, try things, fail, do whatever you can. We've got to fix the system. We've got to make a system, try it. So the 37 individuals, at that time I believe there were actually about 100 or 110 that got housing with the outreach workers we were working with, but that actually from start to finish went through the system that was created, there were 37. The next phase, we really focused at this time on the sustainability and refining of the system. This was merging now the housing outreach system, the outreach as well as the housing team into one. This ran from August to November of last year. At that time, 601 assessments were done, 103 were assisted, and 56 moved into housing in that 100-day period. So what we actually just were working on, and we were just reporting out on, it's very exciting, is this 7 communities. So we have 8 of those service planning areas, and all but 1 signed on to try this out. We approached coalitions that were already in existence and that we knew could start working together as they had proved, and really kind of helped them, based off of what was learned in Skid Row, create something that worked best for that area of Los Angeles. At that time, over 2,500 people were assessed. They assisted 449 in collecting documentation for housing, and 119 went in to housing through the system. So these are where we're moving to next in Los Angeles for our future. In springtime, well, right about now, we're actually going to do it in July. We are going to release that over $50 million in resources and private funding strategically to those 7 communities. We're actually including that 8th community planning grant. And we're going to the fact of different people have a different idea for prioritization. Some think that being chronic should be the #1. I know that that's what the drive is for Home for Good. Others think if you've come out of a domestic violence situation, that should be a higher acuity rating. For us, it's been interesting because we have different service providers that will touch each of those, but will also be very focused on a certain area. So like I said, because of that collaboration and relationships, being able to streamline those services into whichever door that person walks into has made the difference. It's being able to know that it's not just a warm handoff, it's a walking over and checking up, how is that client doing? So that's actually been what's really happened in Los Angeles. While there's this acuity rating, we still understand that our largest population is in our rapid rehousing. And we, because of the work we've done, been approached by that group to say, if you can just tell us their information, if you can just get us so we're logged in, we'll go ahead and take it from there. So that's really what's happened.